one of the easiest ways to the top is via having connections, whether it's knowing the right people, being connected to the right entities. That can be exactly what propels you to the top. And what has been great for Cardano in this market cycle is that it has been building some pretty important relationships that Tim Warren says may be in fact exactly what takes ADA to becoming a top 5 asset in the crypto market. And this is something that we've actually talked about before, about ADA being one of the most dominant assets in the crypto market in this market cycle alone. And I do want to discuss that, but I also want to talk about a surprise vote that may in fact be taking place this week. So again, if you guys haven't already, show your support for the channel down below. It's been growing like crazy. And again, it's all because of you guys. So what I will say is that ADA is doing a very good job to start the day. It's still the early hours of the morning. It's only about 8 a.m. Central Standard Time. And we can see ADA slowly but surely chipping away at some of that red. In fact, we have turned green on the daily. That's a great sign. And again, we really want that nice, strong weekly close. And the reason why is things could get a little bit jumpy as we get into this week, because we do in fact have some things happening that could impact the price of assets in the crypto market. We'll get to that more here in just a moment. But what I do want to talk about is some of these things that were mentioned by Tim Warren, who's an analyst on Bros show or Investing Bros show. And what he's saying is that ADA could become a top 5 asset just via this relationship with Bitcoin and XRP. Now, before we dive into this, I just want to get your guys' opinion on this. I actually stumbled across this hat yesterday that I liked, kind of off topic here, but really like the color of it. Have never bought one of these ghost golf hats before. This isn't a sponsored video or anything like that, but let me know what you guys think. I've been getting kind of wild colors lately, and I think that one looks pretty cool. So back on track here. Tim Warren has been talking about ADA becoming a top 5 asset via these partnerships and relationships with Bitcoin and with XRP. And these, in fact, may be some things that help propel ADA to some pretty insane highs. First of all, a lot of people like to dog ADA for its performance earlier on in this market cycle. And I will say it's done pretty well. Unfortunately, a lot of the times where ADA's looked like it's going to take the next leg, it's been met with some bad luck, some bad news that has brought the crypto market down. And I'll show you guys this here more in just a moment. But that has left the door open for opportunity, right? If we have not yet seen ADA hit a new all-time high, if it hasn't had a huge major breakout yet, despite the developments that have taken place, despite these partnerships that are coming into place, via Bitcoin OS, via connections with Ripple, potentially RLUSD entering the crypto ecosystem or the Cardano ecosystem. I mean, that's a pretty big deal. You don't often get these types of opportunities in the crypto market. You can do with that information whatever you want, right? I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not telling you what to do, but this is why I think a lot of people that have accumulated during these dips and during these times where everything's just seemingly sucked, they're going to be rewarded very nice. Now, what I will say is there isn't a guarantee that these are going to have major success, right? There's never a guarantee in crypto, but what I will say is with the interest in Bitcoin, there is interest in building with Bitcoin. And the Bitcoin blockchain itself is slow, it's archaic, it's dated. And obviously, from a technical standpoint, there are other chains that perform better. Cardano and many other chains that, there's a whole list of them. I won't get into that in this video. But if people truly have interest in Bitcoin, which they do, the best option for this may in fact be building via Bitcoin OS, building with Cardano. And that could be a really big deal because, again, that just in and of itself increases the demand for ADA, right? Now let's talk about the connection with XRP and Ripple, right? If there is, in fact, a bridge between these two ecosystems, if there is, in fact, RLUSD that enters, the Cardano ecosystem and, RLUSD takes off, you could be talking about an immediate liquidity bridge between the two ecosystems. I mean, there's basically limitless potential with these relationships that Cardano is building right now. And that interest and those being in the same discussion alone may in fact be what helps carry ADA from, right now the 10th, technically 8th largest asset in all of crypto, because I don't count stables, all the way up to the top 5, which would actually be on par with what I've been discussing throughout most of this market cycle and all the way back into 2023. If you guys remember, oh gosh, what did I say would be up there? Bitcoin, Ethereum, ADA, Solana, BNB, and XRP. Is that 6? Yeah, maybe that's 6. But I had kind of Solana on the outside looking in, but I'd said that, XRP and ADA and Solana may in fact all be around the same market cap by the end of this market cycle. And guys, I haven't changed those projections. Nothing's really changed for me from that stance. Sure, we've dealt with some crap along the way, but have things really changed that much? No, not really. ADA is still a better late market performer than it is an early market performer. We still haven't seen adoption take place, which is where ADA tends to thrive. And that's what really gets me excited for what's coming next. Now, what Tim Warren is also talking about is he thinks that ADA is going to make a pretty big surge here in June, up over $1. Now, currently we obviously sit at 66 cents, and that would be a very nice aggressive move for ADA. And what I will say is this, is there has still been a lot of accumulation of supply. There's been huge hoarding that's been taking place. And a lot of the speculators have kind of gone quiet. And I don't think people pay attention to this. What we see a lot of during these times are speculators taking profit and calling it quits and just trying to, move to other assets in the space or move to stable coins. So they're not here right now. Then what do speculators do? They tend to chase on the way up. It causes us to do some of these things, right? And then we see some speculators taking profit. That's what causes us to go down. But this is exactly what can cause ADA to set a new cycle high here, right? It's not rocket science. We've seen it many times before. It's just essentially a rinse and repeat. Okay. But again, I'm not saying that can happen happen today, but a lot more people are now falling under this, this impression that we're going to have an explosive summer. And that's what I've been talking about for a couple years now. I've said we've very much been mimicking what we did back in 2016, 2017, where there was very short periods of retracement and then we go on these rip-roaring runs. Now, obviously that hasn't been the case for a lot of the time here, but as we get into this summer, that is when things may in fact start livening up for macro reasons, for potential embrace of crypto here in the US once again. That's been pretty quiet as of late, but what in fact may be coming this week as well is a surprise vote on the stablecoin bill. In fact, the week of June 9th is what has been talked about as the latest week for voting on this. Might not be the case. Maybe it's delayed longer, but there is that potential that you could get a spark of excitement this week. We have a CPI report happening on Wednesday that could cause a little spark of excitement here as well. And all you need to do is push things just enough. Like I talked about yesterday, entering the volatility zone. If we get just enough push with just enough volume, it can create a little bit of a trigger that causes us to see some liquidations in terms of BTC, some liquidations in terms of ADA. We might be talking about very different prices in the next week or two here. So that's all I got for you guys. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. Do you think that these relationships with Bitcoin and Ripple and XRP are in fact going to propel ADA to some new highs? Do you think we have an exciting summer ahead of us? And let me know what you think about that hat. So appreciate you guys. Have a great day. Show your love below. Catch you guys in the next one. Take care.